is amazing that the level of violence that still goes on today. There's an organization called Gay American Heroes on their honorary board. It's gayamericanheroes.com. But they track the unfortunate incidences of murders that occur each year that are hate crimes. And there are documented, I think last year there were 32. Documented. So that's only in the states where it's where it's actually classified as a hate crime can we document it that it was a murder due to a hate crime. And it's still going on. And these are young people, folks like Ryan Skipper, who is a teen who was murdered this year in Florida. Violence against any marginalized or disenfranchised community is condoned when you have folks who say, don't be authentic, don't celebrate that community, let's try to ignore that community. And in a way that almost condones people to move into violence. And there's a fine line between non-acceptance and, I mean, how do you tell a young person, we don't accept this community, we don't consider them equal, we don't recognize their marriages, but don't be violent to them. I mean, it's a very confusing message when you look at a young person. The message that we should that we should have out there is we are so much stronger when you embrace everyone who's different. And you asked me earlier about Harvey and what he was like. Harvey would walk into the room and look at the person, absolutely would find the person who felt either the most outplaced or the most different, and he would go up there and make them feel part of everybody. And I mean, that was one of the great gifts that Harvey had.
Being inclusive. Well, we were speaking to some of the people that went today for the rally that you had this morning, and speaking about how they were spit upon, how they were yelled at, and that was the first time some of these people had seen such opposition towards what they naturally are. And why do you think there's such fear?
Well, I think Sally Gerhardt actually said it best in the campaign 30 years ago against Prop 6, which was the Briggs Initiative. When you tell someone who bases their life on an absolute, so if I do this and this, I go to heaven. When you tell them that, a belief that you've had that a man and a woman, or someone who's transgendered is not living the life that's right, then when we come in and say, no, it is right, and not only is it right, it can be part of the realm of love and can be blessed by God in whatever your definition of God is, then you unravel the very fabric of what their whole life is based on. And that brings fear, and fear never moves anyone in the right direction. So the people that were out there who were spitting on people and who were hurling really mean-spirited insults to people, they're being moved by fear. And, I won't move into denigrating them. What I'll say is that we have to find a way of reaching those people. We have to find a way to make them realize that we have nothing to be there's nothing to be fearful to embrace your daughter, to embrace me, to embrace anyone who's different from them. We're going to be richer from that, and we have to find a way to reach out to them and let them know that. I almost want to reach out to them and say, you're in terrible pain.
Yeah.
And really, look at me. I bleed like you do. I hurt like you do. I love like, I want to love like you do. I want to be able to marry like you do. I want equal rights like you do. There's nothing that I'm trying to take away from you.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And to me, I just for the life of me don't understand why, if a couple wants to bring a child and raise a child, it doesn't matter who they are. If they love that child, they're a family, and end of discussion. But I don't want to get my own opinion all wrapped up in here. Let's talk a little bit about the movie. How accurate was the movie in your eyes?
Well, the movie was a very good representation of, this decade in Harvey's life. Now, not everybody could be portrayed in the movie that was involved in Harvey's life. I think that there are, some amazing people like Gwen Craig and Sally Gerhardt who were part of the movement that Harvey kind of led. But the movie was amazing in that it really told his story. Lance Black, Justin Lance Black, Lance is just an incredible storyteller and writer, and he did an amazing job in terms of putting into this time period a story that people could walk away from and understand what motivated my uncle and kind of the message that he wanted the world to hear. He was very prophetic, and I thought that came out. You know, that the movie is kind of narrated by Sean doing a tape recording of what would happen if I were assassinated. And that actually, Harvey left 3 of those tape messages of how he would like to be remembered if he was assassinated. So he really did feel that he was going to be taken from this world.
I have a little quote from one of those tape recordings. He wrote, "If a bullet should enter my brain, let that bullet destroy every closet door." And
it just destroyed the closet door of his nephew. Harvey and I never had the conversation about me being gay.
Oh, you didn't?
We had a conversation at my grandfather's funeral, his father's funeral. I was 15, and I talked about just feeling different, and that's when he gave me the saying about "you're the medicine that the world needs," especially more so because you feel different. But he never moved into the realm of gay. Now, I know from Ann Cronenberg and from everyone else I've talked to that he came back and he said, "Oh, I've got a gay nephew," and
he knew.
He knew. Well, of course, it's the gaydar thing.
Oh boy! Yeah.
But the amazing thing is that my conversations with him were around self-acceptance, and he was kind of my touchstone to self-acceptance. And now I forgot what initially was your question there.
I don't think I have one. I'm just enjoying talking to you. You do have a letter that you wanted to tell us a little bit about that Sean Penn actually had with him during the acceptance speech?
What's really great, I did bring it today, so
Good.
I think I did. It might actually be in my coat.
Not a problem.
Okay, I'm going to reach back.
Sure.
But the letter actually is was at the time that I had that conversation with Harvey over feeling different at my grandfather's funeral. We talked for about 5 hours, and and he just wanted to convince me that whoever I end up being, the world needed, and follow my passion, and whoever I was is someone to be celebrated. That really was kind of the message that he wanted to give me. So he actually got the Board of Supervisors to. He was running to unseat them, one of them, and he got them. They adjourned in memory of my grandfather, and so he sent my father the proclamation that they adjourned, and he said, they're adjourning over someone who wants to unseat them and put a LGBT person on, or an Asian who has never been on, or an African American at that time who had never been on, and they're actually doing it. And he said they were doing it out of respect for me, and and I'll read a part of it.
Yes, please.
He said, "If there's any way for the dead to look back on us, I am sure that Dad," meaning his father, "would be smiling on this. In some small or great way, it's telling him that his son has affected a city, has shown people that they can be embraced and celebrated. I think he would be proud of it. I'm only sorry that he did not live to see the effect that his son has, and to see victory someday, not just for me, not just for disenfranchised communities, but for everyone."
Wow. That's pretty amazing. Look at that. So do you feel him with you when you do what you do?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing. I do. This is his class ring. This is his high school class ring, which was very important to him. And so whenever I speak about Harvey, I wear it. And partly I wear it because it's got the date so clear, 1947. If you think back, that's 2 years after the end of World War II. And for my uncle to have said to himself at some point in his young adult life, I'm just going to be out there, and I'm not going to shrink back, and I'm not going to be even quietly out there. I'm going to be loudly proclaiming, not just for me, but for everyone who is marginalized, everyone who's denied their human rights. I'm going to speak out for that. And and people told him, don't do it, which I thought came out very clearly in the film. Or if you do it quietly. And if anything, he did not do it quietly.
No, not at all. Quite the opposite. And I love that about him. I love that. Now you work with the LGBTQ community children. Do you have any messages for parents if they find out that their child may be gay, what would they do? I mean, I took it very well. I'm in theater, so it was okay, no problem. But other parents may have a difficult time with it. Is there anything that you can give words of advice to parents that may have a gay child that, they really can think about before they speak with them?
Well, I mean, I think you're a great example for one who
you.
just, embraced your child. And, and I think not having an expectation